Good morning, all Project Peoples. It is the 12th of February. It is a Friday, and hallelujah, the kids have gone back to school. I wanted to make a quick video since my house was finally quiet and share with you a revelation that I had on Wednesday. Wednesday, the day was pretty nice. Wednesday night was a little rough for me. Some backstory. I am on my second marriage, and my children from my first marriage are having a hard time dealing with the fact that Dad's pretty absent, especially as my daughter's going into teenagehood. So we had a bit of a meltdown on Wednesday, so I wasn't able to go to derby practice like I had intended. I felt that I needed to stay with her and kind of just be there and help her work through some of the mental issues that she's having because of it. So that's what we did. However, I was convinced to take my written exam for my skills test by my wonderful and loving coach, and I failed. But not as badly as I did the time before. The time before I made like a 22. I think this time I made a 66. So vast improvement on my understanding of how roller derby works. So I'm pretty happy about that. I will have to take it again to make sure that I pass. And he was going over with me what I still needed to do to pass. Now, we did skills test the Monday before I got sick. That Monday I made the video and I was all excited. And I did really well. We ran out of time. And so because we ran out of time, there were some things that didn't get accomplished, and I was supposed to go back on Wednesday. But by that time I was already like crazy sick, and I could barely breathe, let alone let's put on skates and try to, do some endurance. So there's a few things I need to finish. And as he's talking about it, my anxiety started to increase. And I know I haven't shared like a whole lot with you guys, but I do kind of suffer from anxiety, depression. More the anxiety than the depression. I have a hard time letting go of things. I worry a lot over stuff, and just in general, I'm just generally anxious. And half the time I don't even know why. I'm just like, why am I even worrying about this? But somewhere deep in my brain I am, and I have to learn to deal with it. And I do take some medications to help me cope with them when it gets really bad. But a lot of times I try to rely on redirection, keeping myself busy, and rationalization of this really isn't something that you need to worry about, so let's move on. That only works part of the time. So as he's talking about what I need to do to finish my skills test, I'm getting more anxious. And I realize that I'm more anxious because I'm afraid, which didn't make any sense. So I kind of let it go for the time being because I was trying to finish my test so that I could go be with my daughter. And I'm working it out in my head in the car. Like I said, when I get anxious, sometimes I have to rationalize, why am I anxious? Let's find the root problem, and then maybe we can fix it. And I realize I'm afraid to succeed. And I know the very first video I told you guys I'm afraid of failure. Well, apparently I'm afraid of success as well, because I figured out that I'm afraid of what happens next. Once I pass skills, and once I pass my test, and once I pass my laps, I'm a full-fledged skater. That means that I'm eligible to participate in our bouts, our games. And I think that scares the snot out of me. Less because I don't want to be there, more because, here we go, I don't want to fail. I don't want to get out there with my teammates in an actual game that actually counts for something and screw something up so bad that I cause us to lose. Now, I know they wouldn't ever like, oh, it was all your fault, mostly because if I suck that badly, I only get like a jam or two and they're going to put me on the bench. But still, in my head, I'm like, am I ready for this? This is definitely something I want to do, or I wouldn't have been doing it for the last year. But, whew, See, I'm getting anxious just thinking about it, like actually being out there, actually being on a roster, and actually skating in a real bout for the first time. Actually having people depend on me to know what I'm doing and to do it correctly and to not hurt them or anyone else. And I think that scares me. I think that frightens the dog out of me. And as I'm realizing that's why I'm anxious, I also kind of came to the realization that I may have done this before. I'm afraid of success because I'm afraid of failure. When I was in the Army, I made it all the way to specialist. I didn't stay in the Army for very long. I did my 5 years, 6 years, 5 years. And then I ETS'd out. Which means my time was up. I didn't have any obligation to re-enlist, and so I didn't. I had made it to specialist promotable, which meant as soon as I got my points, I was eligible for promotion. And it was shortly after I received my promotable status that I decided I wasn't going to stay in the Army. And I think it's because I was afraid. I was afraid of what happens next. I was afraid to succeed, to get my rank of sergeant, which now makes me an NCO, which makes me responsible for other people. And I was afraid of failing at that. And realistically, I probably would have done fairly well. I probably wouldn't have just not succeeded. I have a lot of really great friends who are NCOs who would have helped me out and helped me hash through some things. So I have no real expectation that I would have really failed, but somewhere in the back of my messed up brain that I couldn't go any farther. If I went any farther, then people were going to start relying on me, and I couldn't handle that. So I left. And I baby stepped out. I went to the reserves. And when I got to the reserves, I was a lot better than a lot of them at a lot of the Army things because I had been active duty. No fault to theirs. They just didn't have as much experience, even though they had many years over me. I did it day in, day out 4 or 5 years straight, whereas they do it 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year. Which isn't bad. They're a really great group of people, and they really do want to be the best that they can be and all that good jazz. So I'm not saying anything bad about reservists or National Guard or any of you guys. I really did enjoy my time there. I knew that I was better at some things because I just had more on-hands experience. And I got promoted laterally, which meant I went from specialist to corporal, which is like a pseudo NCO. They call them baby NCOs. And I got scared. I got scared that I was going to have more responsibility, which is kind of funny to think because I had a lot of responsibility there because I was more experienced than a lot of them at things. And I was afraid to fail. I didn't want to fail at this new position. I didn't want to let people down. So I left there as well. I think I'm a serial quitter.